Welcome to the Aha Brain. Today we're going to dive into something incredibly personal, but also surprisingly controversial. We're talking about the pictures you see in your head. Are they essential tools for how you think, or are they just kind of mental decoration? The answer? Well, it might just change how you think about thinking itself.
Okay, let's try a little experiment right now. Just read the words on the screen. A cat under a table. Seriously, take a second. Now, what just happened in your mind? Did you see a picture? Like a full-on image of a cat and a table? Or did you just, get the meaning of the words? No picture necessary. See, this is fascinating because people are split right down the middle on this one. For some of you, it's like a little movie just played in your head. You saw a particular cat, a specific table, maybe even saw the color of the floorboards. But for others, there's nothing, just the concept. And this difference, it isn't just some fun little personality quirk. It's actually at the very core of a huge scientific debate.
And that debate brings us to this really provocative idea. What if those mental pictures, those little movies in your head, what if they're completely, 100% useless? Think about it like this. Picture an old steam train chugging along. The whole point of the engine is to turn the wheels and move the train forward, right? Now, it also produces a whole lot of steam and noise. But those big puffs of steam, they aren't actually pulling the train. One theory says your mental images are exactly like that steam. They're just a side effect of the real thinking happening under the hood, but they aren't doing any of the actual work. Now, there's a big fancy word for this idea. It's called an epiphenomenon. It sounds complicated, I know, but it's really just our train analogy. An epiphenomenon is something that's produced by a process, but it doesn't turn around and influence that process. It's just along for the ride, but it's definitely not driving the car. The main guy pushing this idea is a cognitive scientist named Zenon Pilishin. And his logic was actually brilliantly simple. He basically said, look, if one person sees a super vivid picture of the cat and another person sees absolutely nothing, but they both understand this sentence perfectly, then what job is the picture really doing? Maybe none at all. So that's the theory, but how in the world do you test it? How do we figure out if that movie theater inside our heads is actually functional or if it's just for show? Well, let's walk through a pretty simple experiment that gets right to the heart of it. So, the mission is crystal clear. We just need to figure out one thing. Does creating those mental pictures have any kind of measurable effect on how well we understand something we read? Because if it doesn't, then Pilishin might be onto something. But if it does, well, that changes the whole story. And here's how you do it. It's actually pretty straightforward. You'd get a bunch of people together and have them all read the same short story. After they're done, you ask them, so, on a scale of 1 to 10, how vivid were the pictures in your head while you were reading? And then for the final step, you give them a pop quiz to see what they actually understood and remembered. Simple, right? Okay, so let's pretend we've run the experiment, the numbers are in, now we need to look at what could happen. Because the actual conclusion here is surprisingly clever. All right, so let's imagine our first possible outcome. Scenario number 1. What if the people who reported seeing those really vivid mental movies just completely aced the comprehension test? The results would look something like this. The high imagery group's score would be way up high, while the no imagery group is trailing behind. This seems to suggest that those mental pictures are actually a useful tool, right? They're helping us understand things better. But hold on. What about a second, kind of weird possibility? What if the people who were busy creating those super detailed mental movies actually did worse on the test? Now the chart is totally flipped. The no imagery group is the one with the high score. This would imply that making mental images is actually a distraction. It's like your brain is spending all this energy on special effects when it should just be focusing on the story. And right here, this is the aha moment. Think about it. In scenario 1, the imagery helps. In scenario 2, it hurts. But, and this is the key, in both cases, the imagery has a real, measurable effect on performance. And if it has an effect, it cannot be a useless byproduct. If it can help or if it can harm, then by definition, it's doing something. The steam is actually connected to the engine's throttle after all. This is a huge deal. It completely changes how we should think about our own inner world. It's not just fluff. It's not just decoration. What happens inside your head, the stuff that only you can see, has a real, tangible impact on how you perform in the world. So the verdict's pretty clear. Mental imagery is not an epiphenomenon, not in this context. It's an active player in your thought process. It has a real function, whether it's helping you focus or distracting you from the task at hand. Either way, it's doing something. That little movie screen inside your skull isn't just a passive show. It's actively shaping how you understand and interact with the world around you. And that just leaves us with this huge, fascinating question, doesn't it? If mental imagery, something we could have easily dismissed as useless brain steam, is actually doing important work, what else is going on up there? What about other things we ignore, like random daydreams or that song that gets stuck in your head for 3 hours? Are those just glitches, or are they also playing a critical, hidden role in shaping our reality?